Welcome back to another edition of AI Rabbit Holes. Now, this is a video series on my channel where we go down the rabbit hole of artificial intelligence throughout various topics, because there are a ton of rabbit holes to unpack in the world of AI. And in this edition, I'm excited to welcome on Alec Kremens. Now, Alec is a partnerships manager at beehiiv, which, if you haven't heard of beehiiv, they're one of the fastest growing email platforms built for creators and businesses. And in this episode, we unpack how beehiiv is not only scaling, but also how AI is shaping what's next for email marketing, newsletters, and email just in general. So, Alec, thank you so much for hopping on this edition of AI Rabbit Holes.
Of course, Ryan. It's great to be here, and yeah, have definitely been going down the AI rabbit hole. So happy to be as helpful as I can.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, let's start off with beehiiv's growth.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's been pretty wild. I'm well versed in the space. I'm a marketer. I follow it pretty heavily. What do you think beehiiv is doing correctly right now that kind of the legacy platforms are missing?
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, rocket ship growth, as you mentioned, $0 to $20 million ARR in the span of 3 years. So we're very proud of that. I can't take credit for that. I joined about 15 months ago, but even from then, been massive growth. I think there are definitely a few things that come to mind right away. The first is just the first I'll say is just like listening to the customer. It is a cliche, but like even if you log on to socials, like if you're on X, if you're on LinkedIn, you'll see that anyone who talks about beehiiv, Tyler, who's their CEO, is usually in that thread. It's pretty unbelievable. And if Tyler's not there, then someone else from our team, either myself, someone else from sales, from product, from engineering, is actually interacting with people, both for the positive and for the negative. So a lot of companies say, oh, yeah, we listen to our customers, but we're actually in socials every day, responding, retweeting, talking to customers, both good and bad. And I just think that's like a huge advantage that we have, and like Mailchimp, Kit, other platforms are just not doing that. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say, and this is related to the first, is the speed at which we ship products, especially our engineering team. It's pretty remarkable. We have a product update today. Basically, every week we're releasing a new product or new products or new features. We're moving very, very fast. And I just think that is a huge leg up that maybe, a startup like beehiiv has over more of a legacy platform like Mailchimp. Those are like probably two features I think are big. And then I guess the third one also, since it's very relevant for this podcast, is um, just really embracing AI. A lot of people talk about embracing AI, but we even put together some sort of like AI task force. I don't know like how public it is, so I don't want to be like
Yeah, yeah,
share
yeah.
so much, but we have people on our team that like all day they're just looking at, okay, how can we make the product better, specifically with different applications of AI. And I think those three things combined together is part of the reason why we're growing the way we are.
Come on, you got to give the sauce on AI rabbit holes. No, I'm just kidding with you. But yeah, you mentioned the legacy platforms. Obviously, MailChimp was early to the game, probably one of the first players to the game. Then you
Yeah.
got Active Campaign, Constant Contact, and so on and so forth. There's a million CRMs out there these days, it seems like. But I have to say, I do respect beehiiv's branding. I think it just looks really cool, in my opinion. It resonates with people. They have a lot of big creators and influencers behind it. And so, as someone who, this is just kind of a personal question, as someone who's been with Kit, formerly ConvertKit, since
Huh.
2018, if you had to say one reason why beehiiv over Kit, what would that be?
Yeah, it's a good question. I speak to a lot of people, a lot of kit users, and I'm not hating on the product or the team.
And it's a
Obviously, I
good
have
product.
good
Don't get me
things.
wrong.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, and for sure, and that's not my style. But I would say the biggest reason, I think there are two major reasons that I see. One major reason is coming down to monetization. I think beehiiv, we have a lot of features that make it very, very easy for creators to make money off of their newsletter. One of them is we have an ad network. So even I have a newsletter that I run for fun on beehiiv, and each week I see different ad opportunities come to me from huge companies like Nike, Athletic Greens. This is just like the athletic space, HubSpot, Netflix. So tons of these huge companies are a part of the beehiiv ad network, and I don't need to do any work on my end looking for advertisers for my newsletter. I could just plug in to one of those ad network opportunities, get paid out on a CPC or a CPM basis. So that's pretty awesome. And I think our ad network is growing very rapidly. We also have Boosts, which is another way you can monetize. You basically recommend other newsletters and can monetize off of that every time you send someone a subscriber. We now have our sponsorship, our direct sponsorship, so people can actually, using like your beehiiv landing page, directly book in a sponsorship and it shows up within your editor. So I would definitely say I think beehiiv is a little bit more focused on helping their creators and newsletters actually earn from their newsletters. That's the first thing that's coming to mind. And the second thing is, I think we are focused on building much more of like a giant ecosystem surrounding the newsletter. So right now, obviously, we're known for newsletters. Today, actually, our website builder, like our beautiful, fully drag and drop website builder, just went live, called Dream Builder, from our acquisition of a previous company about a year ago. And then again, can't share all the secrets, but let's just
Yeah,
say we're
yeah.
continuing down that path, and there'll be many more ways for creators to monetize their audience besides just the typical newsletter. So I'd say those are the two big differentiators in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, that's very well explained there. And let's step back a little bit, and I want to talk more about holistically AI and email marketing. And by
Yeah,
the way, for those watching and listening, this isn't a promotional piece on beehiiv. If you do want to try it, I'll leave a link in the description and you can have at it. I think you guys have a free trial if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. And so yeah, have at it there. But I just want to make that point clear too. Let's step back a little bit and talk about email inside or excuse me, AI within email marketing. So what are creators, in your opinion, or just email marketers kind of overhyping right now? And what are they underutilizing when it comes to leveraging AI within email?
It's interesting. I yesterday I hosted a big summit with like huge creators. We had Sean Puri there, we had Cody Sanchez, Chris Corner, so like these giant creators. And a lot of what they were saying, some of them, I think it might have been Chris specifically, he was saying that like faceless content on short form video and short form socials is all over the place, which means that showing up as yourself authentically online, like taking the iPhone and having it in front of your head, will stand out so much more and is such a big advantage. So, I'm not
I couldn't
saying,
agree with that more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying like don't use AI. Like of course, like we're all using AI. If you're not using AI, you're going to be left behind. But it's very easy for me. I could immediately spot a newsletter that was written completely by AI, by ChatGPT. I could spot it right away, and like I just throw it right into my delete folder, archives, whatever it is. Um, but I think so. So I think just completely automating the process right now is overhyped. But I think using AI strategically as like your research assistant or as your VA to get the actual outline and structure of your newsletter, and then you going in and just putting your personality or takes on it, that's where the competitive advantage is, right? So like I run a local newsletter for my community, right? And I very easily use AI, set something up that basically scrapes all the top events. So like that used to take me hours of work to find the top events happening. Now it's immediately, automated with AI. I could take it a step further and have AI just completely write the whole newsletter for me, but I don't think that it would be able to authentically capture my voice. Maybe I just need to like create more of a project or get better in prompting. So I think people are overhyping like the complete zero to finish with AI, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'll give you my process really quickly, and I rely on Claude. I'm actually not a big fan of
Nice.
ChatGPT's outputs for email. I'll leverage a Claude project or the Claude AI module inside automations with Make or N8N, Zapier, whatever tool that you use. But I get so granular with my data with subject line details. What are the percent open rates of each individual subject line? I have like 50 to 100 different subject lines of first party data with actual examples of my email body, basically training this thing as much as possible. And then to actually write the newsletter, I'll take a YouTube video that I did, take that transcript, right? Because it's authentically me talking, and then have it repurpose that transcript on the same topic for a newsletter with those instructions provided behind it. I found that that method actually works pretty well for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so many people are doing things. And the other thing, which is crazy, I heard this actually on a podcast today I was listening to. My First Million, with Sean and Sam Parr, and they were speaking about how like AI, obviously we're on an exponential graph right now. So like whatever's not possible now, like it might be by the time you watch this, AI can fully handle that whole process. So I think, how you're thinking about it, how I'm thinking about it is very similar, but it could change very rapidly. Then there's also, just because this is like an AI focused podcast, there's this one quote that I heard today. I think from one of the co-founders of HubSpot that is just like
I
implanted
think
in
I
my
know
head.
what you're gonna say because I think it's the exact same quote that I'm thinking of.
All right, you first, and I'll tell you if it is.
Is that you should use AI to automate the mundane and amplify the magic?
No, but I do like that quote.
Okay,
The quote that I'm thinking of, let me see if I can nail it
because
here.
that was Dharmesh from HubSpot who coined that one.
No, I think this is Dharmesh also, and I just heard it, and I think what Dharmesh was saying is the way to view AI is not to view AI as a competitor to you, right? A lot of people are talking about how AI is going to take their jobs, but the right way to to have AI framed in your head is it's you raised to the power of AI. So like AI is the exponent that can completely, exponentially, change the way that you're working, which is like, that's how I'm using AI, right? I'm not viewing it as like something that's competing with my tasks, but all of a sudden, instead of manually, going through all of my emails or manually sending out emails or whatever it is, I'm able to raise my productivity to the power of AI to get so much more done in less time.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. Dharmesh has just got some golden quotes there about AI for sure.
He's got
One
some
other question to
fire
follow
opinions.
up on that though, this is something that I've actually been kind of wondering and both concerned about is email deliverability rates when it comes to AI spam, right? How do you think AI is going to impact email deliverability over time? As this is just something that I'm not very optimistic about per se.
It's yeah, it's honestly it's a good question, and I think this is a question again that could be taken to so many different areas, not just with email deliverability, but like how can you tell what's real and what's fake? Like what
Right.
emails actually belong in the inbox and what don't? What pictures are actually real or what pictures are deep fakes, right? So there's going to need to be some sort of verification process. I think it's going to be. We're already moving in this direction where like the double opt in, like Google, like in Gmail and a lot of other inboxes are now segmenting out your email. So like even using AI, right? Like Superhuman, like I don't even anyone who pitches me on something, I don't even see that in my inbox anymore because it automatically marks that as a pitch. And like I have to go in there and it's amazing. I don't need to hear cold email pitches all day long. But I think you're gonna have to be a lot more I guess like specific and like lead with value versus I think the newsletters and the content that doesn't lead with value and doesn't actually get someone to like, oh, like I'll just subscribe to check it out, but no, I will subscribe, move it to my primary inbox, mark it not as spam, reply because I'm so interested in reading it. I think that's the direction that we're moving in, where it's going to have to be a lot more intentional.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And just something quick to follow up on that. I actually interviewed, this is going to come out at some point. I interviewed the founder of Forage Mail. I don't know if you've heard of that provider before.
I think so, yeah.
Basically, where it's a quick summary and it helps prioritize your inbox, provides a TLDR of all the newsletters. And we saw Google now have a dedicated tab where you can actually go in and unsubscribe from different newsletters and go down a list. I don't know if you've received that update yet, but
Nice,
that's a
that's wild.
yeah, that's a huge update. So I guess my question to you, Alec, is as we're starting to see maybe AI platforms like Forge Mail or Gemini inside Gmail make it, I guess, easy for users to not only click into emails if they have a
Yeah,
TLDR summary, or make it easy to just unsubscribe with a click of a button and go down a list. How
yeah.
should creators like myself kind of mitigate that if email is a big driver for my business?
It's a great question. I think it's two separate questions. One is talking about the risk of people unsubscribing, which is the second part, and the first part is talking about like summaries, right?
Yeah, if
And
they don't even click into your email at all, if they can just get a quick AI summary of it.
exactly. So I guess I'll start with the first one. The most successful email newsletters I see are not just facts or education. They're actually entertaining and they're something that I look forward to reading. I think Morning Brew like really cracked this in
Hmm.
like the early days, where I look forward to reading Morning Brew on my commutes in the morning, not just because I would get the actual facts of what was happening, but I enjoyed the writing styles. I enjoy the jokes that they were making, the cultural references, whatever it is. Tyler, also our CEO at beehiiv, Tyler Dank, does a really great job of this, where his personality really shines through, and he makes jokes, and he has cool images as well. Like they're like different prompts and images and news stories. It's not just like, okay, here's a deep dive on blah 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 that can be summarized. So basically, I think like having a lot more personality, a lot more aspects that you're drawing from that can't just be easily summarized, and not just having facts, is one thing for the first problem, to mitigate the summaries. And the second thing, I mean, it's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing, right? If it's very easy to unsubscribe, that means that you're probably going to have a lot higher of an open rate and a click through rate, right? Because if it's very easy to unsubscribe and someone doesn't unsubscribe, that means they probably value your newsletter, right? So this is something also people are shocked. Like they'll see a graph of my newsletter and they'll see like, random dips of like 500 subscribers. And I'll tell them like, this is something that I actually did, like cleaning my email list
I
and
was just
spending.
going to ask about that next with automations, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and like most people that have email newsletters, they want to go through and clean their lists. So, it's kind of it is tough sometimes, like when you get an ego hit and you see a bunch of people unsubscribe, or you unsubscribe a bunch of people. But long term, I think it makes for a very healthy newsletter. So
I was going to ask about automations next, as I just alluded to it. What are some, I guess I've never been inside the beehiiv platform when it comes to automations, but in terms of like practical real world use cases, I'll give you just a few quick email automations that I use. Number one is automatically tagging or segmenting people when they come in the list. That's a very basic one, right? But
yeah,
number two is automatically removing cold subscribers. I have it set where every 100 days, if someone doesn't open an email within that 100-day time span, they're gone. No
yeah,
questions asked. I don't care. You're costing me money. It's a headache to deal with. And then if they do, then I tag them. Okay, that's an active subscriber within a 100-day time frame. So just with those kinds of examples, are there anything else that you would recommend that people listening should maybe automate with their email list?
yeah, definitely. For first off, after something that I have set up, also similar to yours, after probably around like 100 days of no open, no clicks, no interaction, I will like the subscribers will automatically enter a flow, which will have
Like a sunset flow.
sunset flow,
Yeah.
exactly, which we see all the time. And if they don't respond after, like, it's usually 2 emails, like I don't like go overboard with it, then automatically they're removed, but marked like also that they're tagged, so I know in the future, right, they're an inactive subscriber. um, that's one that obviously I would definitely recommend there. I mean, any sort of flow or automation that you'd want, like beehiiv makes it very easy to do so. We also have these, like we just released a bunch of automation templates, which are like templates that are very easy to like to plug and play into your newsletter. We have like a great welcome series that like I often I set up for all my newsletters. Obviously, I think that's really important. But like the two major ones you don't want to miss are, I would say, welcome, and within the welcome flow, you might also want people to fill out a survey so you have more like information about the demographics. You might want to push people to your referral program so they can refer other people, get that organic virality going. That's within the welcome flow, and then the sunset flow. I think those are the two main things, and then everything else is just icing off the cake.
One thing I've learned that actually helped a lot with my deliverability is when people sign up for my opt-in guide, I'll prompt a question right in that first email to confirm, not just saying, hey, click here to confirm, but I'll say, hey, Alec, what's your favorite AI tool? Reply and let me know. I want to hear from you,
Love
right?
that.
Yeah. That's a good little trick there for people watching or listening to kind of tell that your email is good with the senders and people trust you if you're prompting people to reply to you. So just any other little like deliverability tips like that?
Yeah, first off, one of the things that I talk all the time about, especially in the welcome flow, but for everything, like the best email newsletters, a lot of them, like it should feel like you're actually talking and having a conversation. So
Personal. Yeah.
all the time I'm trying to get like insight from my subscribers, ask questions that will actually yield answers. I also really like, I within beehiiv you can have polls directly in the newsletters, which like really lift like click through rate and everything, because you're asking people's opinion, they can vote, um, which is great there. That helps a lot with deliverability. I would say some of the standard things like not including tons of links when it's not necessary. I'm very big as well on like length of emails. I try to. I mean, it depends on the newsletter, but like most of my newsletters that I send out are like probably 5 to 6 minutes it would take to actually read, if not less. And I also like breaking it down. I don't know if this affects deliverability, but just the user experience. It's similar to how I write on LinkedIn. It's not just like a big block of text, but I have images, GIFs, all these types of things in there to break up the text. I just find it very visually appealing. Yeah, those would sort of be my top tips around that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know you want to do a quick demo towards the end here, but before we get into that, I want to give you some rapid fire AI questions, maybe 2 or 3, and just kind of give me short answers to it. And I'm just curious, maybe I'll have a reply. Just curious to hear what you have to say here.
Hit me.
All right, let's do the first one here. So, if you had to make a prediction or bet within the next 6 to 12 months, let's say for a time frame, what's the future of email or email marketing look like in an AI dominated world to you?
It looks like
Is it the same? Is it different? If so, how, right?
it looks like what I think a lot of things will look like with AI. A lot of garbage, but a lot of gold, meaning that like you're going to be able to easily tell which newsletters are just garbage AI junk and which newsletters are authentic. And I think people that lean into authenticity and their personality and all of those things will win. It's similar to LinkedIn. It's the reason why I've been focusing a lot on LinkedIn content, because it's so easy to see what the AI garbage is, that if I just completely am authentically myself and show up online in a very genuine way, people love that. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other one I have here is what's your hot take on AI and email marketing?
My hot take on AI and email marketing. Um, I would say, um, I feel like what I just said is a little bit of a hot take. I'm not sure, but I would also say my hot take on email marketing and AI subscribers. The number of subscribers you have doesn't matter as much as you think it does.
The size isn't as important as you like to believe.
So, yeah, a lot of it is vanity metrics. I know some newsletters on beehiiv that have like 10,000 subscribers that are making 6 figures a year in sponsorships. So like it really matters if you can nail down on that core ICP and really deliver value there. So I would stop focusing on size of your size of your newsletter, and I'd focus on maybe your niche, or making sure that you have a group of people that are very dedicated to reading.
If you could leave the audience who's hopefully still stuck around by now for retention purposes, if you could leave them with just like a little sneak peek or just some sort of cliffhanger on what we can expect from beehiiv in the future in terms of AI, do you have any, comments or insights there?
Yeah, what I would say is I think we are going to I think it's going to be much easier to, I'm not just going to say create the content for your newsletters, because AI is focusing on creating content, but we are looking at a lot of AI use cases for someone to go from like complete beginner with email newsletters all of a sudden to getting a really personalized insight onto how to build a very flourishing newsletter business. So different things that like only very knowledgeable people in the space would be able to do, like analyze click-through rates and analyze trends that are happening, and all these different things that right now you set up ChatGPT to do. I think in the not so distant future, all of that will be built directly into beehiiv.
Awesome. Well, Alec, I know you wanted to do a little quick demo here, so I don't know if you have it ready to go, but go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
For sure. Honestly, I didn't really have much of a demo in mind, but I'll just take people in and show them my actual beehiiv account, my live account, so people can just see what that looks like and everything. So this is a local newsletter I have called the JLM Scoop.
I didn't
I
even
live
ask you about local newsletters. That's a whole other conversation.
is a whole other podcast, but this is my newsletter called the JLM Scoop. It's the local newsletter for Jerusalem where I live, and basically you see here we have a very clean dashboard, active subscribers, open rate, click through rate. I guess what else would be interesting to show? I mean, we have tons of different features here that I'm using every day. whether it's, segments. I have different segments that I break down, automations, polls, surveys, like I mentioned. And the easiest thing, I'll show you how easy it is for me to go ahead and write a newsletter. I just go in here, click start writing. I have a template that I have built out. If I go to my templates over here, and here we go. So like this is July 2025 template. I could get better with these naming conventions, but basically just come in here, use template. I have this whole thing built out already, where I have basically like logos, GIFs. I have my different sections, and I just have to go in here and basically update the content. It's very simple, easy to do. I even have my sponsors in there. So again, like it's just a very easy, simple platform to use to get started. And I'm happy to walk anyone who's interested in signing up through it. Maybe like, on a quick call as well. It's a little bonus that I'll throw in there. So I know Ryan has a link that he's able to share. I think it probably will be in the description of this video
Yep.
for 20% off the first 3 months and a free trial. So we just encourage you to dive in and get started.
Absolutely. Well, Alec, thank you for sharing your screen there. And yeah, if anyone wants to try beehiiv for free, find that link in the video description below. Alec, besides that, is there anywhere else you recommend people follow you or beehiiv online to learn more?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're all online, very active. I would say I'm most active on LinkedIn, just going to be my name, Alec Cremins, posting content on there basically every day. And yeah, feel free to check me out and say hi.
Awesome. I'll leave those links in the description below. Alec, thanks again for hopping on this episode of AI Rabbit Holes. And thanks again to everyone watching or listening to this edition of AI Rabbit Holes. Be sure to tune in again next time, where I'm excited to take you down another iteration of a rabbit hole in artificial intelligence.